Hello, and welcome to another episode of Purlfect Pairings. My name is Gayann, she, her.
And my name's Nicole, and my pronouns are she and her.
We'd like to start today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are recording, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. We would like to acknowledge the often fraught relationship between Indigenous land rights and the Australian farming industry. And we'd also like to acknowledge the incredible contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people to the fiber arts community over the millennia.
Well, today we thought it was time to do another whips project. We've been slowly chipping away at a few whips. Very busy time again.
It is. I think this time of year kind of ramps up as we start to move towards the end of the year, scarily enough as that sounds. I know.
Yes, so whips it is. And look, I think maybe we should just kick straight into it. Yeah.
All right. So the first one I've got is a test knit that I'm doing for Vera Marco, who's Vera Loves Knitting on Instagram. And this is, all right, so there's two ways that I think it can be pronounced. I think it's Semplice, or I think if it's Italian, which it might be, it would be Semplice.
Ah, okay.
Right? Which is, I think, roughly translated into simple, but I'll be corrected on that.
It doesn't look that simple.
It doesn't look simple, but it actually is
Right.
simple. It's unbelievable. Here it is. That's the front, the marker. So that's the front. I'll have to put a photograph in. I don't know that it's coming.
We will.
The texture is coming out, but it is knits and purls that form just stockinette stitch and reverse stockinette stitch, and then you swap them over different patterns, and then it makes for a completely reversible shawl. So if you flip it over, it's just the opposite.
Lovely.
It's incredible. It's more, do you know, garter stitch, like just plain garter stitch is totally mindless, and you can just, so it's got a bit more mindful knitting, but not too complicated that you're like stressing out about it. Like it's very relaxing, but also just creates this really neat texture.
And so this is just at test knit stage at this stage. Do you know when the pattern is likely to come out?
I think likely in October. So we're recording this when it's around mid-September. So
look forward to that one. It's a bit like the origami kind of look that we talked about in the episode with Priya around the Brett shawl.
That's right.
But without being true kind of origami. It gives that same sort of illusion of texture. Yep.
But this one does get blocked. So the stitches will even out a little bit, and it won't be so rumpled from being shoved in a small project bag. I am knitting this in Pirate Pearl Blackbeard, which is a 90% Polwarth, 10% silk fingering weight. It is, hold on,
one of Gayann's signature colours.
It's called Drive Me Wild. There's 370 meters in the 100 grams.
Okay, so this is, I think this yarn, this Polwarth blend comes from Tandy, doesn't it?
Pretty sure it does, or if it did at the time at least, because I bought this at Bendigo in 2022, so not deep stash, but stash. So that was actually another reason why I wanted to do the test knit as well, because I just loved the pattern when I saw it. I was like, whoa, I want one of those. And then I thought, got the yarn. Why not?
And you're a bit of a long-term fan of Vera Marco.
I totally have like girl crush on Vera Marco. Like love her designs. Like,
And is this the first one of her patterns that you've done? Okay, right.
Yeah.
But you've bought some others, I know.
I bought at least one paper copy, and I might have some more in my Ravelry library. I just can't confirm that. But yeah, fantastic. It's really enjoying that knit. I'm about halfway.
Oh,
I guess in terms of the row numbers.
okay, right.
But not the length.
But not with, yeah.
Um,
Lovely. So is it kind of a triangular design?
Yeah. Your
Very
standard.
nice.
Kind of triangular.
Beautiful. Lovely.
Mm.
And to go with all the other pinky burgundy colours in your wardrobe.
Right. That's okay. I go for the what do they call that? The capsule look.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I never have to think about it.
Grey and pink. Which, I mean, I can't really give you shit about that today, can I? I should just mention what I'm wearing because sometimes we do get questions about that. So this is the Summer Sorrel tee by Wool and Pine, and I made it last summer. And the weather here in Melbourne is glorious for the first time in a long time. So it was definitely time to dig out this little beauty again.
It's actually had me really jonesing for summer knits, and I think we might have to do an entire episode on summer knitting plans.
Yeah, yes, I definitely have some plans queued up from Stash. Yep.
I was thinking about what to wear because obviously I'm not wearing anything knit today, and I thought I just don't have anything summer. Like,
yeah,
I was like, oh,
well, I have this, and that's about it. So I'm
was...
definitely going to do a lot more summer knits. The problem for us is that all of the really gorgeous, I mean, there's way more designers in the Northern Hemisphere than there are in the Southern Hemisphere, I think. And so our Instagram feeds are filled with winter knits as we head into summer.
I know.
And it's a bit of a torture because you want to make the new and exciting things, but you're also they're not weather appropriate.
No, I think that solidifies it. I think we need a summer knits episode now because nobody else is doing it.
That's true. All right, you heard it here first, friends. We'll get onto that. Should we talk about? It's time that we talked about, because we haven't since we announced it properly. Talked about the Santa Sweater Cowl. So this is a knit along that is a collaboration between Santa & Co, or Susanna Cartman, and Louie and Krina from Louie and Lola. And it's a cowl where you can make any one of Susanna's sweaters, and Louie and Lola have been doing, well, so originally Karina did kits for the EXP sweater, and now she's got kits or yarn suitable for the Jubal sweater on her website. But it's going beautifully. Our little community of knitters bring such joy and delight into our lives.
The sweaters that have been, that we've seen from searching the hashtag are incredible.
And we've featured them a bit on our Instagram as well.
If you tag us on them, then we know as well. So
yes, it's
there's
been
a few pink ones that I'm just like, oh. Anyway, but I love my colors.
So if you are still interested in joining us on that cowl, it's running until the end of November. So there is truckloads of time still.
And the Jubal sweater is, I think, at least 12 ply yarn, chunky.
Yeah, it's pretty chunky. Yep.
So you would need up quite quickly.
Anyway, let's talk about the EXP, which is honestly one of the most, I cannot believe that Susanna came up with this design. It is the craziest structural architecture-y vibe, because that's what she was interested in before, design with really visible raglan increases. This, like, it's as you're knitting it, as I'm knitting it, I'm just like, how did anyone's mind come up with this thing? So I am using the Olive Grove kit from Louie and Lola, and I'm going to make mine a little bit longer, both in body and in arms. I'm making a size 3, but I don't swatch, and I knit tightly, so I think it's a little bit smaller than a size 3. It'll fit me though. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so I'm doing the, in the pattern there are fade instructions, and I'm doing the fade a lot slower than the instructions said as well. So I
have 3 colours in there now.
I do
in the
have
fade?
3 so far, and I'm just starting to bring in my 4th fade colour, which is this
That's gorgeous.
glorious, yeah, brownie colour, and I've totally forgotten the name of it. I'm not certain. It's called Allspice. So I think it might have been one of the new colourways that Karina developed for this as well. But it's fun. It's kind of mind-blowing. It's not that difficult once you get used to the raglan increases.
Yes, and the one really cool thing in the pattern is Susanna has built in like these grids so you can keep track of where you are, because I think that's the trickiest thing, is remembering when and where to do the increases. But with the built-in row counter, effectively,
if you have a way of doing that, I don't, so I've just been winging it. Because you either have to print it so you can mark it, or
I mark it on my iPad.
I don't have. Anyway, it is it's a fascinating design. It's relatively, it's both tricky and not tricky. I have to say I'm really enjoying the fact that I don't have to do increases anymore now that I'm on the body. So it's easier to do while watching TV. Let's have a look at yours.
I am still definitely not as advanced. I've got a few more rows of increases left to do. And I'm actually also doing size 3, but I'm using a 2.75 needle to get tighter. Sorry, 2.5. Which is probably why mine looks a bit tighter than Nicole's.
Mine's also been stretched a bit more, I suppose.
Yeah, so I've done like a little bit of the stretching so that I can see when I aggressively block it, it will come out.
Yep.
You see. But I just love I love the fabric and the denseness of it.
So this is a woolen spun. The main colour in these is a woolen, using Louis and Lola yarn, is a woolen spun Polwarth. And I'm in love with woolen spun yarn now. This is the first time I've really used it, and it's such a springy yarn. It's really deliciously textured. So
my colors are, the main color is Very Delicious. And my contrast color, I've got a single contrast color. It's called Old Stone. But it literally has, and I think I'll take a photograph of it for you. Like, it's got grays, greens, blues. There's specks of orange coming through, literally. Greens. Sorry, did I say green already?
There's a lot of color in there.
It is.
Yeah.
You can see it, right?
And it's interesting the way when you use a variegated yarn for this pattern, how you do get these lovely little, it's less obvious with this particular one than with some of the other kits that our community are using, but you do get these lovely little kind of bands of colour. Yeah, so.
It's just fabulous. I love how that's coming out.
Fascinating project. But yes.
I think I'm on track to finish by the end of November.
Potentially. I guess it depends how many cast-ons you start during that time. What else have you got? Because I have been monogamous knitting away on this, so I don't have any other whips to share.
You've got incredible progress on that. It's fabulous. It's making me a bit jelly. I'm gonna have to go knit on my EXP for a while. Before EXP, I had started the Contrast Blast socks, the Stephen West sock MKAL. You want that one? I'll take out this one. And I don't like knitting one sock at a time. So I just get 2 sets of needles if I need them, and then I'll knit like the cuff of one, then knit the cuff of the other. Then I'll knit, well, I knit like the step portion, this top step portion, then I did the second one, and then I think they call this basket weave bit by the ankle, which I think has had some mixed.
I have definitely seen some mixed reviews.
Yeah, I just did it because I didn't have the brain space at the time to continue the zigzag pattern. Like, I knew I could probably have figured that out, but I just followed the pattern. But I love the heel.
The heel is beautiful. Dotty. Gosh, Stephen West is a brilliant mind.
The design, I had no idea how to
I don't know
design.
how you would wear shoes over these though. They are very bobbly. I feel like they might be a delightful house sock to wear with your Birkies inside.
Boots.
Birkenstocks.
They'll fit in my Blundstones, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So boots and maybe like kind of hiking shoes.
Yeah.
I think there's another basket weave bit coming.
Right.
On the.
Is that going to be ridgy? Who knows?
Don't know. And I think the yarn is beautifully soft. So
yeah, that's true.
I think it will be fine. This is my main color, and that's half-baked hand-dyed, her sock yarn, which is superwash merino and nylon. There's 422 meters in the 100 grams. And this colorway is called the Night of the Hunter. And it's just a lovely variegated gray. And my contrast color is this one, which is a black wattle, tilapia tweed, which is superwash merino and nylon with neps. And that's 400 meters per 100 grams, so true. I think that's pretty true fingering.
Yep.
And the color is Elara, which has also been a delight because it's contrasty but very subtle.
Yep.
And that's why I picked these two. Again, knitting from stash this year, which after the damage to my bank account from Bendigo, I have been trying to be really good and knit from stash.
We have both had to pull back a little bit in that respect after Bendigo. Go back and watch our Bendigo episode if you want to see exactly why that was a requirement.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of knitting from stash, I am such a fan of Stephen West's MKALs. Even the controversial ones, like last year, the twists and turns, which a few people didn't finish.
Like me.
I had a great time. I love my finished product. And so I am jumping straight in to the MKAL again this year. So if you haven't heard about it yet, check out all of Stephen's posts. He does some great fun videos and things this time of year about the MKALs. And this year it's called Geogradient. So you need 4 different yarns. They need to be a version of a gradient. It doesn't need to be a true gradient. There's lots of different coloured gradients in the kits that Stephen and Penelope are doing.
I think that's a great source of colour inspiration, even if you don't purchase the kit from Stephen and Penelope. You get a really good idea. You can translate that into kits either from your stash or your favorite local yarn dyer.
So I was delighted when he announced what you needed for this year's MKAL, because I have had a beautiful gradient sitting in my stash for a bit over a year now that I was dying to use for something wonderful, and probably kind of saving for a Stephen West project as well. And that is this La Bien Aime gradient that I bought in Paris last year. So there's a bit of a story that went with this lovely kit. So I was over in in France doing a riding trip on the Loire Valley, which was a media trip. And I had, I think, like 2 single nights in Paris. And one of the nights that I was in Paris, Little Weasel, which is a fabulous yarn store in Paris, wasn't open. So there was basically a single evening where I already had things I needed to do in terms of meeting the people who were involved in the media trip. I arrived back from the Loire Valley on a train into Montparnasse, which is where we were staying. I pretty much jogged from the train station to my hotel with my luggage. It was during a heat wave in June last year, so it was hot. I got to my hotel, checked in, had the quickest shower known to mankind because it was very hot, threw on a frock, briskly walked back to the train station, took 2 different subways, or I don't think they call them subways in France, 2 different trains to get to where Little Weasel was, and then made it there with like 20 minutes to shop before they closed.
But you made it.
I did.
That's
I
all
made
that
it.
matters.
I
You got
made it.
in before the door shut.
I did. And I bought the lichen from Life in the Long Grass yarn that I used for my MKAL last year. And as I said, I've been waiting to use this La Bien Aime, and I was pretty much definitely going to buy La Bien Aime because I really believe when you're in a country to buy yarn from that country. And this is just, it's a very me. I love that kind of autumny colorway. It looks, I think it's going to be really fun to work with for the gradient.
Have you decided on a color order?
Yes, this is my color order.
Okay.
Yep. Let me just hug. Yeah, really awkward. Let me talk you through the colors. So this is a La Bien Aime Cashmerino, which is a 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So I actually bought 5 colors originally, but these are the 4 that sort of worked together best for the Geogradient, and I will find a lovely use for the other one.
You could make some socks with that. The other one.
Yes, except I don't do socks.
Sock me.
It's got Driftwood Graffiti, which is a lovely soft grey with a sprinkle of an orangey goldy colour in it. Yellow Brick Road, which is one of the really kind of classic La Bien Aime colourways. And then we've got Tokki. I don't know how you pronounce that, but it's a grey with kind of burnished browny goldy colours, and then moving into this lovely caramel. So I am so excited for the MKAL. Please let us know in comments if you're joining in on the MKAL as well. Yeah.
I'm undecided. Still, I'm gonna have to buy yarn.
You had a bad experience
last
year.
Yeah. I might just wait and see.
You can
If I
always
like the
make it
first clue.
retrospectively.
And I want to make some progress on this. So, on the EXP sweater. Yeah, we'll see. I love Stephen's work, and it's not that I don't trust that he would have a really fun pattern. I just might not be the right time for me to do it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, quite a short little episode for us.
Well, it is, isn't it? But we've been kind of going all over the place.
Yeah.
With our travels and our other interviews. It's been quite a year, actually.
Quite the year.
9 months now, right?
Whew. Yes, December. Yes, a full 9 months. Coming up to our first birthday. We should talk about a perfect pairing.
We should.
And today, look, we've talked Rugenic before. Coming back to it again. So Rugenic is a brand of tea that is Australian and uses ingredients from the Australian outback, and I think provides a level of support for Indigenous communities as
I
well.
think it might be an Indigenous owned company.
Excellent. So this is one that our lovely friend Daniela from Indida's Suitcase gave to me when she was here. I have some inflammatory conditions, some pain issues, and so it's the native anti-inflammatory. So it's got lemon myrtle, turmeric, mint, native lemongrass, black pepper, and pepper berries in it, and it's really.
I was just going to ask you if I could smell it.
Yeah, really go smell away. It's really sort of lemony and herbaceous, and I don't know whether it's helped with my inflammation, but it's a delicious tea.
Well, do you remember when we talked turmeric lattes?
Yep.
I don't know how many episodes back, but definitely I know that turmeric as a herb is meant to help with inflammation.
Yeah, turmeric, there's actually some quite good studies on the active ingredient for turmeric and its use in various health conditions. Obviously, the studies are done at specific doses and that type of thing. But interestingly, turmeric isn't bioavailable, so it's not used by the body in its natural form. It requires something else to help it be absorbed or to help it be metabolized by the body, and that is pepper. So if you add a little pepper to your turmeric, that helps it become more bioavailable. And this is from science. Like, this is actual evidence-based stuff, because I have looked into it.
Black pepper, though, is one of the ingredients.
Yes.
So
a lot of herbal teas and a lot of products now do include a little bit of pepper or something like that does help it to be absorbed by the body.
Not medical advice, but just a really nice tea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is. It's a touch of medical advice. It's not going to solve your inflammation, but there is some interesting studies there on the active ingredient in turmeric, which I'm not sure how you pronounce it because I've only read it, but it's like curcumin or something. So it is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I also have a book recommendation.
We got a lot of positive feedback on our previous book recommendation, so we thought we might do that again.
So this time it's not a book that specifically talks about knitting, but it is a book that talks about, it discusses a lot of issues around gender equity, gender equality. So I'm going to be cheeky, and it's actually 2 books. So the first one's been around for a long time. It's called The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. Have you read that one?
I have.
So this is a book set in England around a young woman whose father is working on the Oxford English Dictionary, and she begins a book of women's words because women are very minimally recorded in history. It's actually really interesting. I'm working more and more in women's health at the moment, and women, generally the issues associated with women and non-binary people in terms of all kinds of data are very minimally recorded. So this is not a political space. We'll talk about that another time. But the book that I've just finished is a book that it's not a sequel to the Dictionary of Lost Words, but it is a book that occasionally crosses over and references some of the characters in the first book. So you could read it without having read the first book.
Okay.
But it follows on in terms of time in history and storyline. So it's called The Bookbinder of Jericho. And what I really love, because both books are talking about the suffragette movement and women's right to vote. So the first book is from the perspective of a woman who comes from a background of privilege. and it talks about her involvement in the suffragette movement and what that means to her, and it's really fascinating. The second book comes from the perspective of primarily one young woman, but there is stories of a lot of young women in there. It's set during the First World War, but from a woman who doesn't come from privilege, and how that period in history was a very different experience for people, that even when there was a move for women to have the right to vote, it was originally women landowners or women from a privileged background, or with degree qualifications or university educated. So it is a lovely perspective, this time from the very working class, poor people of but it's a beautiful story, and well worth reading. Both of them, well, obviously both of them. The writer is Pip Williams, who is an Australian writer. So there you go. Hope you enjoy.
Dictionary of Lost Words. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I'll have to put that Bookbinder of Jericho in my queue.
Yes, indeed. Well, friends, that's us for today. A nice snappy little episode, which is unusual. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel. It helps us be found by YouTube algorithms,
which are very tricky.
Please also give us a thumbs up, because that also helps. We love your comments.
We do.
Please let me know if you're joining in the MKAL so I can follow you. If you are in Melbourne, well, I think you could probably do it from anywhere, but if you are in Melbourne, there is a lovely person who visits Maker Maker, which is one of our first episodes. We interviewed Emily from Maker Maker, and there's a lovely person called Samantha who has started a WhatsApp group for people doing the MKAL, possibly with a few meetups. So we'll pop her Instagram handle in the notes, and you just DM her and she adds you to the MKAL group if you are probably primarily Melbourne based, but want to just have a bit of a chat to some other people, so that's an option as well. Please follow us on Instagram, Purlfect Pairings, and is that everything?
I think that's it.
All right.
EXP. Join the Santa Sweater Cow.
Definitely. Yep. There's still truckloads of time, end of November. So even with very busy lives, I've been pretty monogamously knitting on my EXP. I started it pretty much cast on date, which I think was the 8th of August. So I've been knitting it for a little over a month now. And that's with sort of a maximum of an hour knitting time most days. So it's, it's
really coming along.
It's chipping along, but you would still have time to complete it. And you know what? If you don't complete it, no big deal. All right. Well, thank you for watching.
And until next time, happy knitting.